A lovely good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show. This is Patrick Soko, your usual host who loves you the most. And today we have a fully packed program as usual. And we are going to make sure that we give you nothing but the best. I'm not going to be alone throughout the program. My co-host Miriam Kaimba will be joining me later on. But to just get started with the breakfast show, we have to get straight into our first segment, which we call the Health Corner with the doctors. Keep it on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. So this week we are talking about a very interesting topic. We are talking about tuberculosis, and we really want to understand what are some of the causes of tuberculosis, or what are some of the risk factors of tuberculosis, and also some of the symptoms, so that we can be able to recognize these symptoms and seek treatment early. And it's important for you to know what type of TB that you have, so that you can know the duration or the time period in which to treat that TB, because there's a way that TB is treated depending on which part of the body is affected, and also depending on whether it's a new condition or a condition or a relapse that is occurring. So yesterday we talked about what is TB, and we say that TB is an infection that is caused by a bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And so this bacteria can be transmitted from person to person when you inhale aerosols from the environment that are infected with TB. So today we want to know what are some of the risk factors of TB. Who are the people who are at risk of having this infection? So the number one risk factor is people who have a relative or who are staying with somebody who has TB. So if you are staying with someone with TB, you are at a high risk of having this infection. Or if you've come in contact with somebody who has had TB, especially in places that are very crowded. So crowded places where you can't come in contact with someone who has TB and you don't even know. Sometimes you might know that this person has TB. Sometimes you might not know. So overcrowded places have a high risk of transmission for TB. And like I said, people who are living with somebody in the house who has TB are also at a high risk. And the other risk is that people who are staying with somebody who has multi-drug resistant TB. So if the person that you're staying with has multi-drug resistant TB or MDR TB, the risk of you getting the TB is very high, because it's more transmissible, because it's more transmitted to other people who do not have TB. The other risk factors are people who have HIV. So if you are a person who has HIV, try by all means to avoid being in contact with people who have TB, and try by all means to just protect yourself. When you're going out, try to wear a mask all the time, just to prevent yourself from getting some of these infections, because people who have HIV are at higher risk of getting opportunistic infections from the environment, whether it's TB or any other conditions. Then people who are also at risk are those who have who abuse drugs, especially people who abuse IV medications. So if you are a drug abuser, you are at a high risk of having tuberculosis. People who also have diabetes are also at risk of having tuberculosis, because they have immunosuppression. So their immune system is not very strong, and so they are not able to fight infections very well. So they are at risk of having tuberculosis as well. People who take alcohol, people who smoke are also increasing their risk of getting tuberculosis. The other risk factors are people who have cancer of the head and the neck. So if you have a cancer, whether it's in the brain or the head or in the neck, you are also at risk of having TB. You can easily get this TB from the environment. Then children as well can also get TB, and they are at high risk, especially children who are below the age of 5 years old. Their risk of getting TB is very high, and this is why people or children who are below 1 month of age are advised to get the BCG vaccine that can help to prevent them from getting this TB. And so if you have a baby, or if you are pregnant and planning to have a baby, make sure that your child gets the BCG vaccine so that they can be protected from getting this TB before the age of 5. So we want our children to be safe, because people or children who are below the age of 5 are at higher risk of having or contacting this TB from the environment. So these are some of the risk factors of people that can easily get TB. And so if you have any of these risk factors, make sure that you check yourself and try to eliminate some of them that you can. So if you are diabetic, make sure you are taking your medications and adhering to your medications to be able to control the diabetes that you have, so that your immune system is boosted. And if you are HIV positive and you're on medication, try as much as possible to adhere to the medications so that you can improve your CD4 count and improve your immune system. People who take alcohol and smoking, make sure that you try to stop smoking, because that will increase your chances of getting TB. So I do hope you have learned something today. Today we're talking about some of the risk factors of TB, and we say that people who live in overcrowded places, or people who are staying with somebody who has TB, are at high risk of contacting this TB from the people that they are staying with. With people who are HIV positive or who have diabetes can also get this TB very easily because of the immunosuppression. Then people who take alcohol, abuse drugs, and who smoke are also at risk of having this infection. Then children below the age of 5 can also get into this infection because of their reduced immune system. So make sure you watch again tomorrow when we'll be talking about the signs and symptoms. We want you to know exactly how you can be able to tell that you are having TB. And if you missed any other episodes on the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show, you can also catch up on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya on YouTube. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy and stay blessed.
There you have it. That was Dr. Nakubiana Mofaya talking about issues bordering on TB. It is important that we always get familiarized with this disease because it is also among the deadliest diseases that we have in this country, and it's still affecting many of our people. So let's make sure that we are proactive towards combating TB. But I've also observed that most people who are victims of TB in these compounds tend to abuse a lot of alcohol. They will abuse alcohol, and they are on treatment. After they when they get better, they go back to abusing alcohol, and the disease comes back again, you know. So we have to be proactive in terms of addressing this. You know, you cannot be mixing alcohol with medication. So for you to be just health, make sure sometimes you avoid some of these things. So it is important that you take care of your health. That's the only way you're going to be assured of a good life. And if your life, your health as an individual, you contribute immensely to the country's economic development. So we would want you in good shape. So even Miriam Kaimba, you have to be as healthy as possible when we are talking about these issues. Please don't mix alcohol. I know you don't drink, but sometimes future plans, you know, we may not know, but you know, so
I might be tempted.
Yeah, you may be tempted to be drinking. Even, you know, I've seen ladies who have been tempted to drinking, moving from Casolite, even going to as far as Kachas.
Kachas. No, I don't think I can even reach that far. And you know how bad Kachaso is.
No percentage.
No percentage. It's very bad to your health. And you know, the only thing that, you know, we intend to see from people who abuse alcohol most of the times, this, according to, you know, healthy experts, have attributed the condition to mental stress and other things, depression and so forth. So you find a lot of people who tend, you know, to abuse alcohol and other substances like drugs and so on and so forth. Hence the need, you know, for us to have more rehabilitation centers to ensure that, you know, people get the psychological help that they need to ensure that their mental status is in good shape.
Yeah, and talking about mental health issues, we have the Mental Health Act of 2010 that was passed into law. Now, this act is progressive towards us as a country, addressing various issues bordering on mental health. But however, to what extent have we made sure that most provisions in this act are actualized at community level? You'd find that at community level, mental health services are nowhere near. So people are always compelled to take their the sick patients to the patients to China.
And you know the stigma that has been associated with China. Anyone who has, you know, maybe who is depressed or who wants to, you know, get over substance abuse and so on, they're taken to China. The first thing someone will say, no fund. They won't realize that this one just needs help in order to avoid or come out from this substance abuse.
Yes, because again, way back, because of ignorance and the like, we thought when people are taken to mental health, it's everything new. They are completely retarded and whatever. No, mental health, mental issues are at various stages, and mental health is manageable if we will take the right steps.
Yes.
But however, the disease has been surrounded by stigma because the way we handled our relatives in the past wasn't good, Miriam, where you would let someone deteriorate to a point where they are picking things in this when they can be able to seek help. You understand?
Exactly.
So where alcohol abuse has been identified as among the major catalysts to mental stress. So now let's move on. We look at how the kwacha is performing this morning, so that we get to know how are we exchanging that kwacha against $1, against £1, £1, €1. So now this is how it is looking like this morning. $1 is buying at 22 kwacha 19 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 63 ngwe. The Greater British Pound is buying at 27 kwacha 49 ngwe and selling at 28 kwacha 03 ngwe. The euro is buying at 23 kwacha 83 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 30 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 21 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 24 ngwe. So those are your money market updated this morning, the 07th of November 2023 at 0704. You can see for yourself that the kwacha is showing no signs of going back. It is not even in the mood of going back to being a teenager. And if you look at how it is there, Miriam Kaimba, it is going towards a 23 kwacha on the selling aspect.
Where is your positivity? Eh? Where is your positivity? You just can't say it is not in the mood of going back to being a teenager. Where is your positivity?
I'm positive, Miriam, but positivity has to be accompanied by reality. I hope you agree with me, because
yes, I totally agree.
You know, I do get. I'm hopeful that it may come back, but as it's moving now, it's not showing any signs of stopping. You are seeing it's keeping high and higher and higher. And you know what that means? I know you know what that means. Yeah. It means that prices of commodities are nowhere stopping.
Yeah, nowhere stopping.
Because when you go and buy your next dress, they will ask you to say, I found this dress at $250, but why are you saying it's $350? Madam, dollar.
Yeah.
So everyone else will say, but this tomato,
There's a certain time in this one of the stores, I went to buy a biscuit that I love to eat so much. At a certain time, I bought it at 30 kwacha, okay? The other time I went there, it was at 40 kwacha. That's 10 kwacha almost increase.
Yes.
I was shocked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. So now it will show you that the price at the pace at which the prices are increasing is very high. That's what defines inflation. So that's what the Bank of Zambia is seeking to achieve. However, many because we saw they revised the reserve ratio. It was at about 11%. Now it has gone to 14, should be 14.3%.
Yes.
So that is not sustainable for the country, and it is not good, because now it means that the private sector, or you as an individual, Miriam Kamba, you'll be thinking twice to borrow for your next car that you want to buy, and you'll be thinking twice to say, this interest rate is not good for me. I would rather hold on. So people will be reluctant to get money from the banks, and that's what it means, because again, then we have been grappling with the issue of lack of liquidity in the economy, and this lack of liquidity means okay, sorry, I'm being technical. Lack of money in the economy.
Yes.
This problem may continue to exist, because this system is taking out money. You understand, to just regulate inflation. And we've heard from economists like Trevor Hambai, who have been of the view that such a move is not conducive, because it's just a temporary measure, in that it's not sustainable and may not go a long way towards addressing the various challenges that the country is facing economically. So it feels that the move is just cosmetic. It is temporal to be able to regulate inflation, but we should be able to go to the root cause. What are some of the root cause, Mia? Because the root cause, some of the major things that have led to us having this kind of inflation, this kind of economy, is that we have seen the issue of fuel. The issue of fuel has been behind most of these problems we are facing, because it is increasing and the cost of production is increasing in the country. So everyone else is trying to top up something, and that at the end of the day, the person who bears the blunt or the burden is that consumer. So that has been the major catalyst. So we are also seeing that the government has been seeking to migrate to cost reflective elective tariffs. So that also comes with its own consequences in terms of increasing the cost of manufacturing, because the manufacturing sector is also highly dependent on the electricity. Yes. So how do they survive? Even those our relatives who depend on electricity to run a barber shop, to run a salon, to run a welding company, or let's say those who are in metal fabrication, they depend on electricity, but to what extent does that affect them? So now those factors, if they are addressed, it goes a long way in terms of addressing the economy.
Exactly, Patrick Soko. And just a reminder to our viewers that we have now officially opened our phone lines. Our viewers can take part in our conversation this morning, where we're looking at various issues, among them some of the claims that were made yesterday by Socialist Party leader Dr. Fred Bembe, who claimed that democracy is under threat. Do you think so? It's quite interesting, such we were getting different
what
views.
Question are we asking our viewers today?
Is democracy under threat, according to Dr. Fred Bembe?
It's not only him. We have seen a lot of opposition political party leaders, and Dr. Fred Bembe was making reference to the issue bordering on the PF.
Yes.
And he made quite a lengthy statement pertaining to that, to just illustrate how he feels democracy is being hindered, how he is accusing the government of being behind the activities in the PF. But you and I are privy to the fact that the government has distanced itself from such confusion in the PF. And we saw on Friday last week, the Vice President, Madam Mutalena Lumango, was expressing concern and urged that the PF to put their house in order and resolve their differences, and stop attributing the problems to other external parties. And he said they want a strong opposition, and they are contrary to what the PF was saying. They said, We want a strong opposition. So, but Mr. Fred is not convinced pertaining to that. So we are going to be looking at those stories later, and we'll be getting your views. And that's a question that we are asking this morning: is democracy under threat? And we'll be getting your views, our dear viewers, later on the program. And we want to make sure that those of you watching us from social media also remember to keep to keep the messages coming. We want to interact with you. We want to hear from you, and I hope Majira has already joined the stream, and we want to hear from you from the sweetest town of Mazabuka. And I'm hoping that also our good follower Miriam Kaimba, in the name of John Temba is also listening to this broadcast.
As
well as Mr. Msonda and Mr. Jones Mukuma. We would want them to listen to the program and give us their contribution, because every day we do value their input on the program, and want to hear from them even today as we get to look at this.
Not forgetting that this show is meant for you, our viewers. But anyway, just moving forward, let's go direct into...
Before you look at that story, Miriam, let's start with this other story where the Minister of Labour and Social Security has warned employers of unionized workers to ensure that they enforce the minimum wages effective 1st January 2024, failure to which it will attract penalties. Speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka Monday, Minister of Labour and Social Security Brenda Tambatamba says the new minimum wage and conditions of services will cover domestic workers, shop workers, and all other workers who do not fall in the two categories. Meanwhile, Zambia Congress of Trade Unions General Secretary Joy Bene says the country is good at making laws while its implementation remains poor, hence calling on the ministry to ensure that it monitors how the new minimum wages will be implemented. Last week, Parliament approved the issuance of a statutory instrument on the minimum wages on condition of employment.
Talking about minimum wage, I'm sure people are already smiling there. Exactly. Anyway, let's get direct into playing the story. We'll be right back.
Following the approval of the issuance of the statutory instrument on the minimum wage and condition of employment by Cabinet on 30th of October 2023, Minister of Labour and Social Securities Brenda Tambatamba says the new minimum wage and condition of service will only apply to domestic workers, shop owners, and other workers who do not fall in the two categories. The minister says the new minimum wage was arrived at after intensive consultation with stakeholders, and that domestic workers will now be paid 1,300 kwacha from 1,100 kwacha approved in 2018.
Domestic workers, the current basic salary is 1,100 kwacha. Approved transport addition is 200 kwacha. Therefore, the total approved gross stands at 1,300 kwacha.
The minister has since warned all employers to ensure that they abide by the new minimum wage, failure to which they will attract penalties.
Will be sensitization on compliance. The next walk will not be sensitization, of course. The next walk is and when you know, we apply exactly what the law provides for. And there's different penalties that are provided for in the Employment Code Act that the Labour Commissioner as authorized officer and the rest of the other officers will apply.
Meanwhile, Zambia Congress of Trade Union General Secretary Joy Bene says the country is good at formulating laws which they fail to implement, hence calling on all employers to ensure that they do the right thing while urging the ministry to intensify inspections.
Most of the time, Honorable Minister, even in the previous administration, we shall announce this, but the issue is to comply. Compliance. We want to go upon Honorable Minister the employers, wherever they are, please, can you comply? And the media, colleagues, help us. You know, even the police, it's difficult for them to arrest those dangerous criminals without a tip-off.
And United Federation of Employees in Zambia says the union wants to see all employees comply with the new minimum wage and register their employees with NAPSA.
And I would love to see a situation where all employers across the country comply to the new regulation, the new statutory instrument that has been put forth.
Media personnel at the meeting also raised concerns regarding their minimum wage, which the ministry has assured that it will put into consideration. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Okay, there you have it. Interesting story there that we have pertaining to the minimum wages. And you too can give us your comment, especially the workers in these industries that qualify for the minimum wage. Start giving us those stories, especially if you see there is no compliance when it comes to January. We want to hear from you. But this decision that has been made, because this was supposed to have been effective this January, but it was moved again, Miriam Kaimba.
Yeah. And we're almost clocking a year.
Yeah, so a year, it was suspended for a year. So I think it was long overdue. I think those who claimed that they were not ready to enforce, I think they have managed now to get to recuperate.
And the Ministry of Labour, what I would love to see is for them to do the inspection. You know, there are some companies that wouldn't want to adhere to such a directive.
Yeah, a lot don't comply, and sometimes, you know, reporting to the Ministry of Labour on your own, again, sometimes
it puts you under, you know,
so
under
people usually are reluctant.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes, though, there's also issues of trust. Not everyone else at the ministry will do trust, you know.
Yeah.
You immediately you are leaving the office, they tell you, say, your worker was here. You are going back to the office and you just here to say, sir, are you able to go back where you came from? I think your contract has been... Yeah, you know, so people usually are reluctant, you know, Miriam. So sometimes, most of the times, people even prefer to give stories to ask the media to just help them highlight the concerns or the issues that they may be facing. And the media has been playing a pivotal role towards addressing matters bordering on labor and in the country. So in case you want to give us your comment pertaining to the minimum wage, you are free to do so. We want to hear from you. We want to engage from you. And we are also asking a question on our Facebook page and here in studio that is Zambia's democracy under threat? Is it yes? Is it no? None of the above. You can give us your perspective, because this is a general perspective that has been issued by various political parties suggesting that there is a shrinking civic space in that they are not able to mobilize. The police are also undermining their right to freedom of association and assembly. They are not being given permits if they want to protest and everything. So is democracy under threat is the question that we are asking this morning. So now we are going to look at some of the stories. You know, the story that has been also trending is a story pertaining to former President Edgar Lungu, and we also had an interaction with the people. We say some residents of Lusaka have reacted to the demand by Southern Africa Network Against Corruption Executive Director Gregory Chifiri that former President Edgar Lungu must return the benefit paid to him during the time he stated that he had resigned from active politics. One of the residents, Kelvin Mwemba, says what Mr. Lungu did was stealing from the Zambian people by pretending that he had retired when in fact not. Another resident, Eric Kasongolo, says the former president did a lot for the country and should not be subjected to such humiliation. And that's a story where citizens are reacting, pertaining to calls that the former president should return the money that the government has spent on him this far. Is that a justifiable call?
Anyway, according to them. But anyway, let's get direct into playing that story. We'll come back.
The return of former President Edgar Lungu to active politics is still being tried in the court of public opinion. The latest to submit his argument is Southern African Network Against Corruption Executive Director Gregory Chifire, who says the former president obtained money under false pretenses in violation of Section 309 of the Penal Code, Cap 87 of the laws of Zambia, enjoying benefits as former president during the period he was in his retirement. Some Lusaka residents have reacted differently to this submission.
Kumbuka vino kwino all that ife mazambia nchima izala mamita chokera takumbuka vino kwino kumbuyo bese wana chita retire after chita retire mini kibese wana kuteka benefits ya retirement also accommodations also kushamushi manje it's like babela mazambia chifukwa cha kuti sibanakhalese nakambe with the truth and for that reason benefit yafunika yapele.
I just don't know why in Zambia it is like this, where the former president is supposed to be returning benefits to the government. That person worked. He has done his best to this country. And to me, I see no reason why the former president should return the benefits back to the country or to the government. No. Look at the numerous works that he did. And today, we want to be so ungrateful as to allow him to bring back the benefits. What about the things that he did? The numerous works that he did for us Zambians? I think it's very unfair.
However, NDC leader Sabo Imboira says the demand by Mr. Chifire is unrealistic, saying people must concentrate on real issues.
The people making those demands are very unrealistic, They should not forget that he had retired and is back into active politics. So meaning that the time that he had retired, he was entitled to that. We're not so poor as a country to be going around looking for small things like that. And I don't think President Lungu even failed to pay such. So they should not misinterpret things to look as if it's all about money. We think as if where there's money, the certain thing should happen in a certain way. And that is why he has come back into active politics, because they are seeing that the country needs him. So if the country needs him, he's willing to forgo his benefits. So for people start coming now and start saying he should return what it is, as Zambians, by the way, can even donate and help him pay back if it came to that. Otherwise, that is really nothing, and people should concentrate on real things in the country, like the economy and the kwacha being the worst performing currency in the world. That's what people should concentrate on, not non-issues like that.
On October 28, 2023, former President Edgar Lungu announced his return to active politics during the memorial of late President Michael Sata, a move that has sparked public debates and more confusion in the former ruling Patriotic Front. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Interesting views there. Should the former head of state retain the benefits he withdrew from government? Other citizens are claiming that, he was stealing from the citizens, and that is obtaining money by false pretense. I would want to pause this. I want to put you on spot, Patrick.
Why?
I want to put you on spot. Tell me, in your own analysis, as you understand all those things, do you think you would call that obtaining money by false pretense? In your own analysis?
In my own analysis is that he had made a decision, and when he made that decision, he was entitled to get those benefits because the letter was there at Cabinet Office. So he was entitled that the government continues to pay for his retirement house where he resides, and the government, he was also entitled to state security, which we saw, but
the argument has been, if he says he did not resign as PF president, and he did not resign from active politics.
But no, that argument I think doesn't. So that argument does not award Miriam. They retired in active politics. You understand? But however, the aftermath of his retirement saw him getting involved in the PF, and he opted to just go back. I understand.
So now
that he's gone back, that's when you are now going to take away those privileges.
So now the argument, because when he returned back from active politics, he said he had not resigned. He came back as the PF president. But because according to their party constitution, when someone retires, okay, he's away from the party, he's no longer within the party. When they want to join back, they need to apply. Did he do that?
I'm sure I did, because we had a central committee meeting that they held. Then these
he applied and he was immediately chosen as president.
Then these people said they anonymously, according to Mr. Nakachinda, they anonymously affirmed him as the president of the party. Then Mr. Nakachinda went on to say there was a point that the president he was just on sabbatical leave. He never went, like he was just fine the PF.
He never went.
So, but now we said, come back. The way Mr. Nakachinda was putting it, I would be able to recall that story, so that probably you get to listen for yourself what Mr. Nakachinda was saying. But the take home, Miriam Kayemba, is that, for example, you, Miriam Kayemba, when you are our journalist for court. Okay, let's pick this call.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
You're talking to Miriam.
It's good to know that your machine is watching. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, Machina. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, I'm interested to contribute to. It's about Mr. Membe. Mr. Membe, he should calm down. His hatred is too much for the president. There's no way you can work with an enemy. After all, the Bible tells us that we should also embrace our enemies. Because right now, what is happening is, there are no politics, there are no good checks and balances. All they do is to insult the president all the time. They have no respect for this man. And truly, I feel pity for the president. And I salute him because he's got a big heart. That this being other people, I'm sure even war would break in this danger. They are not all of them that hate Mr. Hichilema. Some people love him. So those who love him can defend him and start fighting. We have seen that Mr. Sean Tembo has been insulting, and when they catch him to take him to the cells to cancel him, this Mr. Membe and others follow and start insulting Mr. Hichilema. Is it that Mr. Hichilema is the one who is supposed to be insulted in this danger? Please, let's calm down and do politics of maturity. Mr. Membe is very, very childish. Very childish. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Comment. And that's a comment pertaining to the story that we covered. We'll be looking at that story. Miriam, let me just start with the story where a political scientist and legal analyst Joseph Selisho has described the petition by Opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament calling on the Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, to be removed from her position as unjustifiable. Mr. Selisho observes that the allegations leveled against the Speaker do not meet the criteria for impeaching her, and wonders about the motive behind the petition. Meanwhile, advocates for People's Prosperity leader Mwenye Musenge observes that the respect of the House has shrunk against calls by opposition parliamentarians is justifiable. Let's have a look at this story. Then we'll be back and on the other side.
On Thursday, 2nd November 2023, Nkana Independent Member of Parliament, Binwe Mpundu, wrote a petition signed by 59 Opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament seeking to move a motion to impeach the Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, on alleged gross misconduct and violation of the Constitution. Among other allegations, the parliamentarians claim on 1st November 2023, the Speaker misconducted herself when she curtailed Kamfinsa lawmaker Christopher Kangombe from exercising his freedom of expression in the House. Many stakeholders question whether or not it is justifiable for the lawmakers to move a motion against impeaching the Speaker when standing orders provide authority for the Speaker to allow who should debate during the National Assembly business. A political scientist and legal analyst, Joseph Selisho, has observed that the petition by the 59 parliamentarians on the allegations leveled against the Speaker does not meet the criteria of impeaching her and wonders what motivated the members of Parliament to do so.
That is almost impossible in the sense that the law protects that position. In Article 83 of the Zambian Constitution, it provides the methods of how you can remove a speaker from her position or his position. And one of the requirements is that there must be 1/3 of the total members of Parliament to vote for the motion if it is raised. If it is raised, again, it is procedural that there must be grounds why you want to remove the Speaker.
But opposition advocates for People's Prosperity leader, Mwanya Musenge, who was also a member of Parliament for Chimwemwe constituency, alleges that it is within the mandate of the parliamentarians to do so because the House is not in order and sees no wrong in impeaching the Speaker.
The decorum of the House has actually been injured. And you don't simply rise up and start calling for the impeachment of the Speaker. That is being mischievous. It just tells you to say the Speaker of the House has lost control of Parliament, and it is important that His Excellency the President can look into that. If it requires the replacement of the Speaker.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Quite interesting views there, people calling for the impeachment of the Speaker, but we have it that there's no just cause, for such a move to be made.
Yeah, good analysis there, and from those for and those against. And you too can give us your comment and contribution pertaining to that story also. But let's move on and look at the story that we are asking the people on, Miriam Kayemba.
Exactly. So yesterday we did see Mr. Fred Membe appear before the Lusaka Magistrate Court. Before I proceed, let's speak this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
You are talking to Mr. Kude.
It's good to know that you're watching us this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes, I just want to ask, is the head of state still residing in the same house for the former head of state, is he still residing in the same house they have been removed from there after his announcement that he passed out his policy?
Okay. All right. So we'll be providing that response. I think just stick around. We just provide the answer for you within the course of the program, just after we look at the next story.
Exactly. So yesterday, Patrick, like I was saying, we did see Mr. Fred Membe appear before the Lusaka Magistrate Court in relation to a case he's accused of communicating classified information, and this particular matter has been referred to the Lusaka High Court by the Magistrate Court. This follows the previous argument laid by his lawyer that the subordinate court had no jurisdiction to trial his matter. Meanwhile, after his case was done, speaking shortly after his court appearance, Dr. Membe did maintain his allegations against the ruling party of having a hand in creating confusion within the former ruling party, as well as stating that democracy is under threat. Let us get to look at those two clips.
What is clear is there is a mobilization of state institutions by Mr. Hakainde Hichilema to destroy the PF. They can try to keep it quiet, hide and so forth, but their fingerprints are there, their footprints are there. There's no way Mr. Kainde can run away from what is happening to the PF. It's a desperate way of trying to create a one-party state, de facto. This multi-party democracy, people fought for it. We were a multi-party democracy at independence, it disappeared. After some time, people realized we could not continue with a one-party state, and they fought for it. I was one of them. I was one of those people who went to Garden Hotel on the 20th of July and the 21st of July 1990 and waged a struggle to have multi-party political dispensation back. We will not allow to see the destruction of something that people strived for a long time and in a difficult way. Mr. Kainde was not there. Mr. Kainde and his friends did not participate in the reintroduction of multi-party politics. They may not like the PF, and they are entitled not to like the PF, but the PF had the right to exist, whether they like it or not. The PF does not exist at their mercy or their discretion, or even indeed at our own discretion. Multi-party politics is about competing for power, competing for service. It's not about a battlefield where political parties or opponents should be annihilated. The destruction of the PF is not just about the PF, it's about all of us. All citizens of goodwill should stand up and oppose this. We have enough problems. There's problem of meal. There's problem of general cost of living, and they don't want people to talk about those things. There are no medicine in the hospitals. All what they are concerned about, those who rule this country today, is their personal deals to increase their own personal wealth, to become millionaires and billionaires through corruption, through theft. Some of them were even getting into deals before they get into government. Support us, give us money. When we get into government, we'll give you contracts to supply oil, we'll give you contracts to supply fertilizers. They had even the audacity to sign such agreements before getting into power. This is the type of government you have. People have problems today. The greatest challenge of our people is eating. Many families are going without food. There's a need to address the issue of food. Yes, today we are importing meal from South Africa. But we know South Africa's maize is GMO maize. The people are not even being told. Probably because it's South African meal, that's why it's being supplied through ShopRite. It's a South African shop. There is a need to address this problem. Even the churches have got problems. Can that justify the destruction of the churches? Traditional institutions have got problems. Can that justify their destruction? This government has got problems. Numerous problems. Can that justify the destruction of this government? Or its removal by unjustified means? No. Would we allow a coup in Zambia today because the government is troubled? We can't allow that. There are ways to deal with problems. You don't destroy an institution because it has got problems. Then you turn around and say they destroyed themselves. They didn't destroy themselves. PF has not destroyed itself. It has got problems. The ones who are trying to destroy PF is Mr. Kainde Hichilema and his clique. Given a favorable atmosphere, PF can sort out these problems. The same way all other institutions that are troubled, if they are given a favorable atmosphere, they'll sort out their problems. There's no need to strangulate them, to assassinate them, to annihilate them. If they commit suicide, that's their problem. But don't kill them. The problems in PF can be resolved by PF if the atmosphere is favorable.
Mr. President, your comment on the appointment of Brown Nakasaro as ECZ CEO.
Nakasaro is Kasaro is a criminal. Brown Kasaro is a criminal. And I can't understand. We have commissioners who were there when Kasaro was being discharged, was being fired. And they allow Kasaro to come back. Who doesn't know on that commission what Kasaro did? We can excuse maybe the 2 new commissioners. The 3 old commissioners who were there know who Kasaro is. We will not allow Kasaro to come back. And it's better we don't go to a big conflict over a small individual. Who is Kasaro? Let him just go back and do what he was doing.
That is Socialist Party President Dr. Fred Membe, who is saying, you should give the former ruling party space and chance to resolve their internal wrangles, and accusing the current administration of having a hand in creating the confusion that are currently happening in the former ruling party. However, we have seen on various occasions, even last week we did see the vice president in parliament saying, the current administration has no hand in any of the problems that are being seen in the former ruling party, stating that, the current administration basically want a strong opposition political party that will be able to offer the necessary checks and balance to the current administration.
Indeed, we are getting your calls, and we have one right about now. You are through to the program. Good morning.
Good morning, Professor.
Are you able to reduce the volume on your TV set?
I'm very fine, thank you. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you. The feedback from on the radio or on your TV set is affecting us.
I'm even aware of completely today.
All right,
thank
you are a seasoned caller, I know that. And so we would want to hear from you the voice of Munari.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys. You're looking so presentable.
Thank you.
And so articulate in the manner of doing things. You are really a patriotic Iranian.
Thank you.
I call you Professor Anistoko, and that's a beautiful letter of mine.
Thank you.
First and foremost, I think Fred Membe, Winter Kalimba, or by the way, Mr. Jesus, what of Monarch on the line. Fred Membe, Winter Kalimba, it is in our office. That's just nature. They ask the what they get anyway. That's what that is acting. If the resources, if I spread out this dimension way of this and in the way ethics emanates from to do with the with that body, it is now. So for them, I wish them as they continue learning, they are minor political parties. In terms of the general cost of living, I don't think the Socialist Party or probably responsible for what is here. I think for me that party is lost. All that needs to be, this is the way I think it doesn't qualify to be a politician. Probably that apply to be a teacher at Kabloka Boy, someone at the school. Because it can be full of history. Even forgetting that the PF, this is the political party they are receiving. It was after propagated by the same year of the speaking on the answer. But directly, let them cry no more. On the issue of SHA and the new door, the allegation that they are actually fueling what confusion in the PF. I think the PF is well known. You can tell the way of the PF. It's well known as look at the way people know what they have. Even those people who are things affect, no, they must do.
I'll make sure I've got what in terms of for that. What group is putting the one in Zambia. I want to take a stone throw away from what will look with here. If it's not close that out there, for them to say that is ready for food, that is the plan that is right. And then here after opposing, after the leader that can hear that, and it was identity. If it was Suzu, I would tell that Suzu had actually consulted the command to stop. This capacity to be spent in what we have. What am I trying to put across the board? In fact, this is effective. Even before the House of Congress, command to support and some other top of very patronize the one the person there. So for me, is the deadwood, will not carry still a confusion. That is the party that is going on for this confusion. You keep the to abuse it, to kill you. Allow it for me, your mouth and heart is the patriotic attack. Come out okay, that I'm going to criticize the body constructively and I'm going to give respect to the head of state. I thank you guys. What you well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
the
so
voice
much.
of Munali there. And more lawsuits coming for the former president. You heard him saying that he intends to take legal action pertaining to an odd decision. Well, we can only wish him the best in his endeavor.
The former head of state already has a petition before the Constitutional Court where some students have, challenging his, or rather asking a question concerning his eligibility, something that was already ruled upon in 2021 by the Constitutional Court. But they are still going back to the Constitutional Court with a different question, but over the eligibility of the former head of state.
Yeah, so we are going to see all those issues unfold as we head towards 2026. We are going to have a lot of cases before the court, Miriam Kayemba. And you heard for yourself, do we have some messages that we have on our
Exactly.
Facebook page?
Let's just get interacted with some of our viewers who are watching us live on Facebook. We have Evans who says we have good democracy, no newspaper is closed, and like then no TV station, Prime TV has been killed, and like then let's remember how Zambia was 3 years ago. We now have real democracy. And we have Kingsley Machila who says, good morning, family. We are watching you from the sweetest town of Mazabuka. We thank you so much. We have Banda who says, oh, okay. I really don't know what the oh, okay is referring to, but I'm sure it's basically to the question that we are asking this morning. Hello, good morning.
I don't give enough space.
Hello.
Forward to talk to them.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
We are fine, thank you. Who are we talking to this morning?
You are talking to Moses Kiri from Chipata, Eastern Province.
It's good to know that Chipata is watching us this morning. Mr. Perry, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, my concern is, how are we running this country in terms of democracy? Because political parties are not given enough space to talk to their people. It seems like this government is trying to bring a one-party state. If this Don was actually in office to finish the problems which Zambian people are facing, they were supposed to give platform to these people so that then they can concentrate on issues like meal, like rice and food, instead of wasting time just to push things from here to another. This political party, it won't help them. People, what they want is to eat big meals in a day. Not just no why we want to focus on committee that it won't help us. Zambians are watching. So I think we are in here.
Thank you
so
very
much,
much
Mr.
for
Piri.
your comment. That was Mr. Piri from Eastern Province giving his perspective. You too can give us your comments and contribution on the Camnet Breakfast Show Tuesday edition. Miriam Kayemba and I, myself, Patrick Soko, are your host, and we are guiding you towards getting your comments and contribution. Remember that on the Camnet Breakfast Show, we focus on everyone's opinion. Everyone else is entitled to their opinion, and we should always remember not to stifle one another's opinion so that we contribute to the national discourse. It is important that we take part in our governance affairs as a citizen, and hence we are getting your views from which part of the country you may be. This is your platform, Camnet TV, and not just another channel. We are on Go TV on channel 25, as well as on DSTV channel 274, as well as on Topstar on channel 106 in Lusaka only.
Exactly. And just bear in mind that we are also streaming live on Facebook, and you, our viewers, can take part in our conversation this morning. We are looking at is democracy under threat in Zambia? This is according to some claims by various opposition leaders who have come out to state that, as well as we did see yesterday Dr. Fred Membe of the Socialist Party, stating the same claim yesterday. Quite interesting that we have continued, still getting the same views over and over again. Indeed. And the concern has been, again, from not only the general public, but various stakeholders, including the ruling party, is that the argument is that, the current opposition political parties we have in the country are not offering the necessary checks and balance to the current administration. Because, and most of the times we have seen that they are insult.
The main bone of contention is that government is being accused in this allegation, Miriam Kaimba. Do we have to remind the people of what government position is, so that probably people also get what has been the stance by the government? We also had a press conference for the Home Affairs Minister, who was clarifying issues pertaining to the Registrar of Societies last week, and they did also categorically state that the government was not involved in any way. In any way. So, but on Friday we had a story where the Vice President, Madam Mutale Nalumango, said categorically to say government is not involved. Is not involved. But we have heard Dr. Fred Membe. So I want us to just play one other clip for Dr. Fred Membe, one of the two clips, then we look at the Vice President's perspective on this subject, so that when our people are calling, they should also be able to weigh in at both options. What we do is to make sure that we give information as it is, and so that people are able to make the decision on their own, or give a comment based on what is on this side, what is on this side. Then they'll be able to just give their perspective. And not forgetting, we also saw human rights activist Brebna Changa also accusing the current administration of feeling confusion in the former ruling party. So these are the things that we have continued seeing from various stakeholders, jotting down. But yet we have seen, again, government coming on board and just clarifying things how they are at the moment. But anyway, let us recall back that story where we played for Dr. Fred Membe, where he was appearing before the Lusaka Magistrate Court yesterday, as well as the story that we did see yesterday on our show, where on Friday rather, the Vice President was clarifying in Parliament.
Doesn't have problems. Even the churches have got problems. Can that justify the destruction of the churches? Traditional institutions have got problems. Can that justify their destruction? This government has got problems, numerous problems. Can that justify the destruction of this government? Or its removal by unjustified means? No. Would we allow a coup in Zambia today because the government is troubled? We can't allow that. There are ways to deal with problems. You don't destroy an institution because it has got problems. Then you turn around and say they destroyed themselves. They didn't destroy themselves. PF has not destroyed itself. It has got problems. The ones who are trying to destroy PF is Mr. Kainde Hichilemandi's clique. Given a favorable atmosphere, PF can sort out its problems. The same way all other institutions that are troubled, if they are given a favorable atmosphere, they'll sort out their problems. There's no need to strangulate them, to assassinate them, to annihilate them. If they commit suicide, that's their problem. But don't kill them. The problems in PF can be resolved by PF if the atmosphere is favorable.
Mr. President, your comment on the appointment of Brown Nakasaro as ECZ CEO. Kasaro is a criminal. Brown Kasaro is a criminal. And I can't understand. We have commissioners who were there when Kasaro was being discharged, was being fired. And they allow Kasaro to come back. Who doesn't know on that commission what Kasaro did? We can excuse maybe the 2 new commissioners. The 3 old commissioners who were there know who Kasaro is. We will not allow Kasaro to come back. And it's better we don't go to a big conflict over a small individual. Who is Kasaro? Let him just go back and do what he was doing.
The Zambian parliament has continued to be at the center of attention as the tension in the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front, continues. The former whips, Brian Mundwile and Stephen Kampyongo, defied the changes in the sitting arrangements as they refused to recognize Mao Sampa as the party president, as well as the appointment of new whips. During the vice president's question time, leader of the opposition in parliament, Robert Chavinga, asked the vice president to state if the government is behind the confusion in the former ruling party.
Kindly, there are assertions in the country and some section and quarters of civil society that your government and the UPND are fueling or funding the confusion that has erupted in our party.
But in a response, Vice President Mutarina Lumango claimed that the PF's predicament is self-inflicted and that it is not unusual, saying the PF has always been associated with internal wrangles.
This is the issue. Why should a united family start accusing another family to bring confusion? Colleagues, this is very important. What I'm saying is important. The PF must take care of their own household. Instead of pushing it to the UPND and government. This is the truth. Get strong and be united. This is... Let me... My son, no. Order. Please listen to me.
And Mr. Kampyongo could not take the lecture by the Vice President, and as per resolution, some members of Parliament walked out of the House.
Order. Please, can we have order? I am speaking what I know.
Order. Honorable Kampyongo, please, can you take your seat? Honorable member for Shiwangandu, take your seat, otherwise I'm going to name you. First of all, you are even not in your designated place, and you are standing. That is disorderly conduct. Can you have order? Yes. Huh?
The Vice President also echoed Home Affairs Minister Jack Mwimbu's statement that the UPND administration is not fueling any confusion in the PF.
Colleagues handle the differences themselves. Yeah. That is what we are looking to, because we want a strong democracy. Yeah. We like strong opposition. Yeah. So it is not in our interest to destroy PF. Let them work together. That is my advice to them. Blaming UPND or government will not do. The issue is among themselves. Let them resolve.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Government has justified the police blockade of the Patriotic Front PF Secretariat in Lusaka on October 30, 2023. Former President Edgar Lungu and company failed to access the Patriotic Front Secretariat on the 30th day as the area was surrounded by the police. Addressing the press, Thursday, the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbu said the move was aimed at preventing an imminent violent clash between the two PF camps.
Us as government, we are to be akimbo
and let matters be sorted out by the two parties without providing security. We did provide security ourselves as government by ensuring that the PF Secretariat was protected. If we did not move in as police through my ministry, there would have been a bloodbath.
Mr. Mwimbu stressed that government has no involvement in the leadership wrangles that have locked the former ruling party.
And those who destroyed MMD have now moved to PF. They are part and parcel of the saga that is evolving in PF. It is therefore mischievous for anyone to start suggesting that we are the ones who are doing all the shenanigans in PF. You all know what is going on. The fight is between the two.
Meanwhile, Mr. Mwimbu has also accused some opposing political parties of deliberately committing crimes to create a notion that there is a shrinking democratic space in the country, on the contrary to what is obtaining.
Some of our colleagues in the opposition deliberately commit crimes, and when the law follows them, they cry foul that their political space is being narrowed by government. Why is it that only specific individuals are the only ones who are being followed by the law?
For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
There you have it, quite interesting views there from both sides, both the opposition and the ruling party, just stating what is on the ground, Patrick. And one statement made by Mr. Jack Mwimbu, the Home Affairs Minister, is that, some opposition leaders are fond of committing crimes, creating this deliberately, and then claiming that, there's a shrinking democratic space in the country. To the contrary, that is not true. Like they have stated, you have seen various opposition leaders who have gone out and inside and out of prison on most of the occasion, claiming that, they are being witch hunted and prosecuted. Meanwhile, they are, stating things, committing these crimes deliberately. And most of the times, if we're going to be talking about them offering checks and balance, we have seen that they do it deliberately by when they are offering their checks and balance. Some, you would find that most of the times when they issue this statement, you'll find a sort of insult.
Yeah, you are right. You go for the insult, and then the police follow you the following day. You get some political mileage.
Exactly, but you want to gain political mileage.
But how am I going to be popular?
Listen, Patrick, you are saving.
But how am I going to be popular?
When you're going to form government, are you going to come every time and insult people?
I need public sympathy.
No. See, trust me, governance issues do not work like that. If you're going to...
The more you arrest me, the more people get to know me.
Well, that has been the notion, and that is bad. That has been the notion and the mindset that some politicians have, is that the more you arrest me, the more you take me to court, I am becoming popular. To the contrary, that is not true.
But who hasn't used that card?
Most of them
for it to stop now.
Most of them, that's why I'm saying that has been the notion.
I'm asking tough questions, huh?
That has been the notion, but this should change. We need a mindset change, because the people of Zambia have moved away from such politics. Okay, the people of Zambia want solutions.
What if I'm talking sense, and the people of Zambia don't want to listen to nonsense?
The people of Zambia want someone who talks sense. The people of Zambia want someone who provides solutions. I'm sure you are able to provide.
I'm sure you have seen one politician ever since he started probably talking bad about the president. His following has grown on Facebook.
Well,
I'm sure you are privy to that politician.
Patrick,
I'm asking questions so that I'm trying to put myself in the mind of those who are doing that as the pay explanation, and I'm trying to justify why they are doing that.
Yes, we have seen that their following has grown.
You've seen, eh?
We have seen it,
so
but on the ground,
if it is working, why should he stop it?
But on the ground, the question is, on the ground, is the situation the same? Is Facebook and on the ground the same thing? This is what we're talking about.
But ultimately,
people basically on Facebook we have everyone.
But ultimately,
we have teenagers following people. We have
but ultimately,
exactly,
but ultimately, it may also help in terms of boosting your popularity.
People on Facebook, most of them, 80% of the people on Facebook, according to studies, they will tell you that they go on Facebook just to waste their time.
That's why. That's why others now.
And in reality, that is not the thing.
I want to put you into context. So no wonder these people are trying to respond to those who are wasting their time. Are you getting them? Are you getting where I'm heading there?
Yeah.
So you do nonsensical things that those people who want you to waste their time will follow. Look, you are a journalist, Miriam Kaemba.
Exactly.
Giving us very good, credible stories from the courts. How many people are following you? And you are also beautiful. So now, what happens? What happens if you go and do like others? Go naked on Facebook or go wear a miniskirt, start talking about those nonsensical things.
If I go naked on Facebook,
see how much following you. See how much following. See how much following.
The implication is that I'll be arrested.
But I don't mean you go naked. You go and like do something like those useless things they do and talk about nonsensical things. Start talking about relationships. See how much following you will grow. But I hope now you understand the perspective I want to bring into your perspective. I want to now explain. We are a country that prioritizes useless things.
Exactly.
I hope you understand that.
Yes, yes.
So now, now, unfortunately, even people who are supposed to be leading the way are now falling into the trap of doing nonsensical things to just attract attention of those people who are more and they're following such nonsensical things. I hope you are getting the perspective. But look, Miriam Kaemba, if you post something about debt
restructuring,
who is responding to that? When you talk about debt restructuring, you talk about the progress being made towards debt restructuring. How much of this debt does this government seek to restructure? How much attention do we pay to that? Or how many politicians are challenging the process, for example, of debt restructuring constructively for us to be able to look at it, say, okay, it is making sense. How many are doing that? They would go for insults, most of them, they would go for insults. Those few politicians who are saying the real things on now providing alternative checks and balances, the government itself, first of all, they want to look at them. And those people who are also the citizens want to look at them. Then what would happen when they just insult? Look at how many people look at them. First of all, the police will look at them. Are you getting? Those in authority will look at them. Then those people now, the followers now, will also look at them. As the media, we also look at them. We go for those stories now. Are you getting the connection? So we prioritize issues that are not necessary.
Yes.
When it comes to debate, no wonder when the minister was saying deliberately to be arrested, sometimes others even plan it. They know, so if I say this, it may land me in problems. So let me get there.
But like I said, this is why we need a mindset change. This is a time where, majority of people have realized that we have moved away from such politics of insult. People want solutions, okay? Currently, the high cost of living is very high and unbearable for most of the common citizen, to adapt to this environment. What do people need? A real-time solution. And if you're going to be an opposition politician who is going to be every time insulting the government and not providing solution, do you think people give you a chance to form government? They'll just, give you all those likes on Facebook. But would they give you the vote when that time comes? No.
Depends.
Anyway, Patrick Soko says it depends.
Yeah, but it was the argument we were having, me and you, it was for me to just illustrate to you that how these people think. You understand?
Exactly. I understand. So, we have seen various opposition politicians use this method, okay? They do something, they are imprisoned just to seek for public sympathy. It's a strategy. It's PR that people use, This we know. But at what extent should we do this? This is the question that we're asking.
Yeah, so also talking about that, it also goes along with a strong journalism, where we also in the media have to be strong in terms of highlighting critical issues to be able to make sure that people start focusing on what is important. Sometimes the agenda is not set by us.
Yes.
So sometimes that is not good, because our duty is to set that agenda.
Most of the times the agendas are set by
now
politicians.
others, they just move in, then you just move with the wind. That's not supposed to be the case. So ultimately there's a need to start thinking development, thinking progress, and see how this politics or provision of checks and balances helps us to build our nation and be able to move towards our aspiration of becoming a prosperous middle-income country by the year 2030. Because if we do not do that, then we'll continue being stagnant, doing the same things over again, expecting the different results. And life does not occur like that. Those who have made the difference or greater change in their countries have moved on to do things differently for the greater impact of the entire citizenry, and that has ultimately paid off. We need to take leaf from countries that have evolved. Why should we be embracing bad cultures or bad behavior as opposed to emulating good behavior or attitudes that led them to develop? So we should seek what we should emulate from other countries as opposed to us focusing on emulating how other countries are dressing. What about if we emulate how other countries have advanced and made sure that they have good infrastructure and good schools, good health facilities? How we should be emulating such things and not.
And when we talk about good schools, I would love to see most of the times, especially in secondary school, technology stuff, being brought in school, so that young people are able, to embrace themselves and understand how technology works. And then, them going to university and just finding these things, they need to understand these things in primary levels, when they go to secondary levels, so that when they go to tertiary higher education, they are able to to understand how technology is working.
But we have gone in rural areas where there is no single computer and children have been subjected to,
and they are taught,
and we're not talking about those,
and they are taught about computer lesson.
I think we have. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Your name and where you are calling us from, sir?
Yeah, I'm calling from Kawe.
Okay, you can go ahead with your contribution. Wow, he just says he's from Kawe and gets
connected. But we are glad that you're watching us this morning. Please do call us back and get in touch with us.
Yes, before we lose our thought, Miriam Kamba, we are looking at issues pertaining to Zambia's democracy, and there's been an allegation that has been made by opposition political parties that the country is experiencing a shrinking democratic space. This was also echoed previously by the civil society organizations led by Chapter 1 Foundation. However, those in government we've spoken to, and those during press conferences and meetings, they have dispelled to the contrary, saying that the country is experiencing a good conducive political environment, and contrary to the assertions by some leaders of the opposition. And this has been also echoed by a leader of the Socialist Party, Fred Membe, who in the previous clips that we played, he was explaining that the country's democracy is under threat under the United Party for National Development Administration, UPND. He was also citing the infights under the Patriotic Front, and we have seen that they have two rival camps now, just like other political parties have ended up. Miriam Kaimba, we have the party led by Mao Sampa, and the other party led by Edgar Lungu, and these are two factions. There's an allegation that the government is sponsoring the Mao Sampa camp, and that they are having it easy when it comes to everything, every support, holding a convention with support from with police security on Independence Day. They suggested that the blockage of the secretariat was in view of making sure that Mr. Sampa is protected, contrary to their aspiration. And we also saw that they are accusing the other camp being given leeway being given the privileges to be able to file at the Registrar of Societies and be able to change the office bearers, because as things stand at the Registrar of Societies, the president of the Patriotic Front is Mao Sampa and not Edgar Lungu. So this is how far the internal wrangles of the Patriotic Front have deepened, and in all this, those from the opposition especially are saying the government is sponsoring the confusion. But we've played other clips also where the government is saying no, to the contrary, let the PF put its house in order, because the government has no hand. They may sort out their own differences, and we are getting your views on the Camnet Breakfast Show, just like we're about to pick this call so that we get your perspective. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, your name and where you are calling us from?
This is Mr. Manjimera, calling from Garden House.
Mr. Manjimera from Garden House. You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
All right, thank you. The way I'm seeing things concerning democracy in Zambia, yeah, I think looking at the opposition, especially the PF, they have allowed the situation for themselves, because they're looking at where we are coming from. You know, remember what happened in Mungushi when they had the foundation. Things didn't go well. They were fighting. So even this it's not surprising that for me to see it happening. And I may say that maybe the Europeans are taking advantage of them, because they are not following their constitution as a party. So I'm taking the PF to follow their constitution and come back together so that they may continue as a strong opposition in Zambia. Because if the PF stands as a strong opposition, right now I think the European Union throwing us forever. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Manjimera, for your contribution there. It says Zambia's democracy must survive, and that also means the PF must survive. And that is a fact, because even this fact was echoed by the Vice President that they need strong opposition, and for democracy to thrive, the PF needs to be alive.
The Vice President actually said yes, they want the PF to be united.
Yes, and the strong opposition.
Exactly. Let's just get to read some of the comments coming through on Facebook. We have Austin Nyambe, who says PF should go for good. We have Charles Mulelu, who says PF will never come back. The problem with PF is Lungu blocking convention. Why can't he just rest? It's up to them. They will continue going to court up to 2026 without a president. Don't blame government. That is your president. Maybe just want just want problems in Zambia. PF maybe is better than Membe.
Well, those are the views of our viewers on our Facebook page. And remember that this stream is also live on our YouTube channel. Those of you who prefer to watch via YouTube, you can always follow the Camnet. And remember to subscribe to our channel, and so that you can be notified. Or you also click on the notification button so that you are notified every time we go live or we post something on our page. So now, Miriam Kemba, interesting enough, divergent views are emerging, returning to the subject at hand. And the elephant in the room, we cannot run away from it, because everything that we're talking about, if you see now the PF in disarray, how is it undermining the provision of checks and balances? How is it undermining the checks and balances?
With the confusion that is currently going on within their parties, they are.
Because look, they're supposed to be debating in Parliament. In Parliament also there's that confusion. It is the PF wrangles that have also taken confusion in Parliament.
Where we have now seen them, you know, moving things, motions that they want to impeach the Speaker of the National Assembly because of this confusion that has been created as who is the chief whip of the opposition.
Yeah, and so, the Speaker was recognizing the Mr. Robert Chaving as the leader of the opposition. Can you unmute yourself? And he was like, hey, This is where we are, you know. And the leader of the opposition in the house, he gave a comment. He didn't attend physically. He attended virtually.
But you know, one thing, I think this is a time where the PF should sit back and reflect, because they had so much humble time to themselves. No one knew that, you know, they would get into such confusion, because when they lost power in 2021, they came up with such good strategy of rebranding. And we saw this process, you know, where they assured various stakeholders, including the general public, that they were in the process of rebranding and ensuring that, you know, they emerge back strong and, you know, clear out their mistake that they might have seen while they were still in government. But during this process, they should ask themselves where they went wrong. I know most of the times we have attributed this because they were waiting for the former head of state to come back and take the presidency. But
what rebranding is it with the same leaders? I'm asking a question to you.
Well, basically, for them,
same leaders, same strategy.
Well, for them, their argument is they were changing the strategy. But the question is, did we see them change the strategy? We can have same leaders when we talk about rebranding, but are they using the same strategy? That's the question. For them, their argument was that they are changing the strategy. But according to what we have seen, was the strategy changed?
For me, sometimes they say character is like a pregnancy. No matter how much you hide it, it is still shows.
Yeah.
So branding with the same people, a pregnancy will still come out. I hope you understand what I mean.
Oh, Patrick, we're talking about strategy.
I hope you know, Miriam Kamba, we've been on the breakfast show since the PF lost power, Patrick, you and I.
Patrick, I'll tell you something. It's like when you lose something, it's not the end of the world, okay? I'll give you an example. When you are a student, you fail. It doesn't mean that you will not pass the next test. What do you need to do? You need to work hard. Working hard, what does that require you to do? You need to change the strategy on which you do your studies. If you were studying 30 minutes per day, you need maybe to change your strategy and study for 3 hours per day.
I concur with you. Now that you are mentioning that, but you know, the strategy and are two different things. But there is also character that was exhibited by these people.
Yes,
you know,
I agree with
you. It's also. I mean, the strategy can be followed by anyone. But you know, if you have a wrong character managing something, also that can attend to.
I'm sure,
because you know, part of
I'm sure when they were talking about rebranding process, it came with a mindset change. Because they admitted that we did leave the issues of cadaverism.
Have we seen them holding workshop on a mindset transformation?
Well, they might be holding them in the background, but they did acknowledge that, yes, they did admit that, yes, we did leave the issue of cadres to grow out of proportion such that, you know, it became uncontrollable. They did agree. I'm sure that was something that...
Or are they addressing it? Because some of them were hosted here, said the president told us to address this problem, but we could not do it. We let him down. I remember I was talking to Mutoto Kafuaya then. He was on this set. He was saying, me, I was Minister of Transport, and my counterparts are Minister of Home Affairs, local government. We were all advised to work on this, but we did not do a thorough job. But has that laissez-faire approach to national matters been addressed?
That is the
those
question.
Are the things.
That is the question that only them can answer.
Those are the things. No, when we're talking about governance, you know, no wonder we need strong institutions. You understand?
Yes, exactly.
Strong institutions that are able to guide our democracy through and through, regardless of who comes into office. Why am I saying so? Because sometimes, for example, I'm just giving an example. You may have a good leader in, for example, President Hakainde Hichilema, who's going to be tolerant, who's going to be make sure that probably things work properly. But you may also in future find a leader who's not going to be tolerant. If these institutions are weak, what really happens? Yes, they thrive in that. They thrive in them. You understand? So now, strong institution will make sure that even if there is Edgar Lungu, the country should be able to run based on those principles. Even if there's Hakainde Hichilema, the country should be able to run under the same principles. Even if it's Calabar, the country should be able to run. Savoy, name them. I'm sure if they are strong institutions, there are some institutions, for example, Miriam Kaimba, that need a lot of interrogation, especially by us, the media, and the civil society organizations. If you look at the separation of power, I don't think there's really a huge separation of power. That has been my argument, because if you look at the executive, the legislature and the judiciary. Yes. We say that these arms of government should be working independent. But to what extent is the legislature independent? The only independent arm of the government is the executive. The two other arms of government are highly controlled by the executive. And again, if you look at the appointments, you see, someone is in the executive, and they are also having an upper hand to respond to questions in the legislature. What kind of parliament is that? And you are saying that that is independent, when no wonder there was that clause where members of parliament or ministers should be appointed outside parliament, so that those members of parliament who have sent there should be able to ask the ministers.
Exactly.
There's no way, Miriam Kaimba, you are a minister, I'm a backbencher, and you are my colleague, and you want me to ask you a tough question.
No, that won't happen.
If I ask Miriam, you said, Soko, it's like he's working with the opposition.
Exactly.
I think Soko is working, he's not voting with us. Are you getting the logic there?
And we have seen this happen.
So if you see, others are even belong to three arms of government. Like a minister of justice, for example.
From the judiciary, the legislature, executive.
Yes. They are running all the everything. Now, who is going to check you out? Who is going to check you out?
The people will check you out.
You see? Now, if the people check you out...
And that's why we need the mindset of people to change and shift from attention of these things, like you were saying, things which do not even matter.
The speaker should be a powerful member of society. One, the chief justice should be another powerful member of society too. But who appoints these two people?
The president.
There's also a thing about loyalty. Where is the allegiance of the speaker and the chief justice?
Who appoints you?
The appointing authority.
The appointing authority. So
these three arms of government are not firing very fine. If you ask me, they are not firing very fine. So no wonder we need strong institutions. We need a strong parliament. We need a strong judiciary. We need a strong executive. Then we develop.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, Patrick Soko, this is where we come to the end of our breakfast show this morning. It was quite a fruitful discussion that we have, and not forgetting those who are watching us live on Facebook. We had Vincent Piri, who is watching us from Vuibu. We have Emmanuel Musonda.
Watching us from where? Is that the correct constituency you said? Vubu.
Vubwi.
Yes.
Vubwi. But
when you hear the term Vubwi, what comes into your mind?
No, Patrick. We are not going to talk about that. Anyway, we had Vincent watching us. Patrick, we won't talk about that.
It's a simple question I have to say. When you hear the someone watching from Vubwi, what comes into your mind?
It's like when you hear someone watching you from Dudumwezi, what comes in your mind?
I think this is where we have to call it a day.
Exactly. Anyway, this is where we call it a day, and please do get in touch with us tomorrow as we bring you another exciting topic on the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. For me, Miriam Kaimba, and Patrick Soko, it's bye-bye and stay blessed.